Hello everyone, it's Greg here from geekhut. I wanted to share some of my knowledge for jQuery and CodeIgniter interaction with some JSON. Something I struggled with substantially a few years back, and I thought now I have enough expertise to share it with the rest of you, and hopefully you'll find this informative and useful. So what I've done is I just have a basic CodeIgniter install here. I have CSS, image, and JavaScript, the three folders I've added, and of course I've included jQuery and a file called global.js. This could be any file. And here's our global.js. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to submit a form and return a JavaScript object notation as the result from a CodeIgniter function or method. And I'll show you how to do that right now. First of all, we'll start out and just make a quick little form. I'm going to create item name. We'll create an input type text. We're going to give it an ID of item. We're going to give it a name of item. And then, of course, our submit button. So we're just going to submit one input value. Name ID, and we're going to call this submit item. It's the ID. These are very crucial, and value is just going to be submit item. Cool, so we've created our form. Just note, we did not have to do any of this form method or opening or closing the form. Instead, what we're going to do is have jQuery go ahead and grab the value of our item and submit item. So first things first, we need some type of function when they click that submit button. We want to make sure that it does something. So we'll have to create that action, and that action can easily be created here. What we want to do is pretty much grab focus of that button. We want to select that button so jQuery knows who we're talking about. So it's called submit item, and we want to link it to an action. So our action is going to be click, and that could be mouse over, mouse up, whatever you choose. But in this case, click just makes sense. Within our click action, we want to create a new function, and these brackets scared the hell out of me when I first got started. But just practice makes perfect. Keep messing around with it until you figure it out. I don't know why I've always not been very good with JavaScript, but anyway, here we go. So first of all, we want to make sure that when you click that button, it does something. We're going to alert click. Clicked. We'll refresh the page, and when we click it, we should get an alert. Clicked. Wonderful. So that's working. Next, we need to grab the actual value of this text box here. Now we've given this text box an ID, and since we're not passing it through headers as we normally do by submitting the form to an action, we're going to be sending this asynchronously via JavaScript. We need to grab, select, if you will, this item's ID. So we'll go ahead and do pretty much the same thing. We want item. In this case, we're going to be grabbing the value. Now let's give it a variable name. We're going to give it a variable name item, so keep everything understandable. And I'm spacing this. Hopefully you guys can understand what I'm doing here. So var item equals whatever the value is of this text box. Whatever you type in here is going to show up and be passed. So let's go ahead and make sure that that is in fact being passed when you click it. Alert item. So we're going to grab whatever's typed in the box, and then we're going to alert it once we click that check or the submit button. Test click. Whoops, that's still cached. Sorry, test click. Test click. Wonderful. So that means it's actually grabbing the value of that box. The next step is not as complicated as I once thought it was. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to open a new tab here and grab the sample jQuery post. And I'm going to hit up the example and just grab the JSON example right there at the bottom. And I'll walk you through what all this stuff means if you're new to this. First of all, let me indent my code. Okay, cool. So we're going to be posting to a file, and in this case, it's going to be demo process. Next is going to be the post values, or request variables that we're going to be sending to our script. So in this case, we're going to create the key as item, and the value as the actual value of item that's being pulled from the script. You don't need these lines here. Okay, so what it's doing is it's actually going to send a request asynchronously to data process, and it's going to send the value item with whatever's typed in the box. It's then asking for a JSON object to be returned, so it'll only understand JavaScript object notation, and it's going to give it the variable data. So if you can imagine an associative array in PHP where it would be something like key value, instead what's being returned is key value. And there is a lot of benefits to this. Creating lightweight applications is by far, you need to use JSON. It's the only way to do it. If you're returning a lot of information back and forth to the server, such as something like Google Apps, you can imagine how slow and unresponsive it would be. JSON is for responsive application development. So what we want to do is we'll alert data dot result. I'm going to return an associative array with result being the key. And I'll show you how we do that now. Now in my controller, and I'm going to create a function called process, as this was the function name that we requested right here, demo process. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new variable, and I'm going to assign it to the input, this input post, item. Now let me explain what's going on here. Creating a new variable, I'm trimming any white space from the beginning or end of the line, anything that shouldn't belong there. And I'm trimming that information from this input post. So whatever is being sent by this script, and as you can see, we're sending item. I'm requesting item, so that only makes sense. Next, what I'm going to do is create an array. So just a new variable, and it's an array. And result is going to equal item. Next and final step, echo JSON encode, and you might want to spell it right, array. So what it's doing is it's taking our associative array and creating the other type of array that I showed you that's separated by colons. And with that, what we should do is we should actually be alerted the result. Let's do a hard refresh. Maybe if you go there, and we will say test post. And it returns test post. Now, how do you know that's not just being grabbed by, this? How do you know I'm not lying to you? Well, let me prove it right now. What we're going to do is we're actually going to we'll concatenate something onto the beginning here from the controller, and we'll do the same thing from the controller test post. So as you can see, it's actually going to the controller first, and then of course being returned as a JavaScript object, data.result, sending result as the key value pair, and that is how you do JSON with jQuery and CodeIgniter. Yeah, all three of them went bam together. Anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to post them below this video on the blog. I'm sure that's where it's going, and I should be attaching the source as well. Anyway, thank you very much for watching.